How do you feel great on vacation? Like really good? Easy. You go to Aruba. You'll spend your time relaxing on cool white sand beaches and floating in healing blue water. You'll immerse yourself in natural wonder and find your center on an island where things move at your speed. You won't just feel great, you'll feel relaxed, renewed, and ready for life. That's the Aruba effect. Plan your trip at Aruba.com.
Deciding which credit card or loan is right for you is like trying to choose where you want to eat for dinner. Except when you finally get to the restaurant, the menu's riddled with jargon that no average foodie could understand. So at Credit Karma, we keep things simple. We show you personalized recommendations that align with your money goals and help you turn the confusing fine print into terms you can actually understand. And as a cherry on top, we provide a detailed overview for a new card or loan before you apply. That way, we can help you make decisions faster and with more confidence. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
This is Optimal Health Daily, Why You Don't Need 6 Small Meals a Day by Christian Finn of MuscleEvo.net, and I'm your host and personal narrator, Dr. Neil. Welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. This is the podcast where I read to you from some of the most popular health and fitness blogs online. All right, and with that, let's get right to it as we optimize your life. Why You Don't Need 6 Small Meals a Day by Christian Finn of MuscleEvo.net. Are you going to lose fat faster by eating 4, 5, or even 6 small meals a day? Or will you do just as well with 2 to 3 larger ones? The latest research on meal frequency and body composition, which set out to answer that very question, has just been published. This wasn't actually a new study. Rather, it was something called a meta-analysis, which combines the results of several studies on the same subject. Basically, the researchers pooled the results of 15 trials, crunched the numbers, and published a series of recommendations based on the results. What did they find? There was a trend for 5 or more meals a day to result in greater fat loss when compared to 1 to 2 meals a day. However, the impact of meal frequency on fat loss was skewed by a single 2-week study of boxers. In this study, Japanese researchers from Nagoya University tracked a group of 12 boxers for 2 weeks. The men were assigned to one of 2 groups. Both groups consumed 1,200 calories and about 60 grams of protein per day. Group 1 consumed only 2 liquid meals per day, breakfast and dinner, which were separated by 12 hours, while Group 2 ate 6 liquid meals per day. At the end of the study, both groups had lost a similar amount of weight. However, the boxers eating 600 calories twice daily lost more muscle, 8 pounds of muscle versus 5 pounds of muscle when compared to the other group, and lost less fat, about 3 pounds of fat versus 6 pounds of fat when compared to those again eating 200 calories 6 times daily. Other than the fact that it lasted just a couple of weeks, there are 2 main problems with this study. First, protein intake was too low, only 60 grams per day. Even the group eating 6 times a day lost muscle. The low protein intake is the main reason why. And second, it involved the use of liquid meals, which are digested and absorbed a lot more quickly than solid meals. When this study was removed from the analysis, the impact of meal frequency on fat loss was no longer significant. So what effect did meal frequency have on fat-free mass, also known as muscle mass? There was a trend for 5 or more meals to result in greater muscle retention compared with only consuming 1 to 2 meals a day. Again, this was skewed by the same 2-week study of boxers. When this study was again removed from the analysis, there was no impact of meal frequency on muscle retention. To quote the authors directly, quote, "The positive relationship between the number of meals consumed and improvements in body composition were largely attributed to the results of a single study, calling into question the veracity of results. Moreover, the small difference in magnitude of effect between frequencies suggests that any potential benefits, if they exist at all, have limited practical significance. Given that adherence is of primary concern with respect to nutritional prescription, the number of daily meals consumed should come down to personal choice if one's goal is to improve body composition." End quote. One potential downside of eating more frequently, particularly for those that identify as female, who generally need fewer calories than those that are male, is that it can leave you hungrier than if you'd eaten the same number of calories in fewer meals. Let's take the example of a female trying to lose weight by eating 1,500 calories per day. If she was to eat 6 times a day, each meal would contain only 250 calories. Such a tiny amount of food isn't going to do much for your hunger pangs and will probably leave you wanting even more. The research on the subject of meal frequency and hunger and appetite is a bit of a mixed bag. University of Colorado researchers found that increasing meal frequency from 3 to 6 per day had no significant effect on metabolic rate or the amount of fat burned over a 24-hour period. But it did lead to an increase in both hunger and the desire to eat. In subjects with a relatively high protein intake, about 25% of total calories per day, eating 3 rather than 6 meals per day led to greater evening and late night fullness. On the flip side, other researchers could find no difference in appetite measurements when comparing 3 and 6 meals a day. Here's their conclusion. Quote, "There were no significant differences between the low and high meal frequency groups for adiposity indices, appetite measurements, or gut peptides like peptide YY and ghrelin, either before or after the intervention. We conclude that increasing meal frequency does not promote greater body weight loss under the conditions described in the present study." End quote. There is also research to show that dividing calorie intake over 1 to 2 meals per day rather than 3 meals per day led to reduced feelings of satiety and an increase in appetite. Ultimately, it boils down to doing what works for you. The optimal meal frequency for an active male bodybuilder with high caloric needs will differ from that of an inactive female half his size. There is no one-size-fits-all prescription that will work equally well for all people all of the time. Will it make any difference to your rate of fat loss if you eat 3 or 6 times per day? For the vast majority of people, it will not. Most of the data show that an increase in meal frequency has no significant effect on weight loss, metabolic rate, or the amount of fat burned over a 24-hour period. That's not to say you can't get results by eating 6 small meals a day. Plenty of people have done it. But it's not necessary or even desirable as far as losing fat is concerned. You just listened to the post titled, "Why You Don't Need 6 Small Meals a Day" by Christian Finn of muscleevo.net, and I'll be right back with my commentary. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it filters out incompatible applicants. So when you're hiring, the process is much faster, and you only have to consider applicants that are already likely to be a great fit. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/health. Just go to Indeed.com/health right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back in the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Dr. Neil here for my commentary. I always love reading posts from today's author, Christian, because he not only talks about published studies, but carefully evaluates them too. And his takeaway is absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with eating 6 meals a day if that suits you and your lifestyle. But if your goal is to improve your athletic performance or lose body fat and gain muscle, eating 6 meals a day won't necessarily get you any closer. If we force ourselves to eat 6 meals a day, as Christian said, we could end up consuming too many calories, which is probably not what we want. And forcing ourselves to overeat could lead us to forming a not so great habit over the longer term. So again, find what eating pattern works best for you and your goals. And that's probably the one that's going to get you closer to your goals. All right, that's another edition of Optimal Health Daily. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening all the way through. Thank you for sharing this show with someone. That's one of the best things you can do to keep this show going. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll be back here with more for you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.